Welcome back, everybody. This is Refresh message number 3 for this week. Today's Friday, July 3rd. Our title is Loving Others but Not Being Manipulated. Allow me to read a couple of scriptures that we used in our message on Sunday. They're about love. They're both from 1 Corinthians 13. Perhaps you're familiar with that, a famous passage on love. Verses 4 to 8 in 1 Corinthians 13 from the Amplified Bible, because the Amplified Bible just brings it out a little clearer. The first one is the second half of verse 5. Love, God's love in us, does not insist on its own rights or its own way, for it is not self-seeking. What I want us to observe about this passage and the next one I'm going to read is they are very unnatural. They're not normal. They're not human. They're not consistent with human nature. They're going to be challenging to us. We're supposed to recognize, wow, that is unusual. That is something that I might, naturally speaking, it would be something, if we didn't have the power of God helping us, it would be something we would find very difficult to do. We're supposed to recognize that. So continuing with the verse, it's not self-seeking, it's not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. It pays no attention to a suffered wrong. And then a couple of verses later, the first half of verse 7, love bears up under anything and everything that comes. And here's the part that for this week we're looking at a little more closely. The next phrase, love is ever ready to believe the best of every person. So the love of God sometimes, even in Christian circles, is misunderstood. It's taken to mean trying your best, being as nice as you can, doing good to someone until they hurt you or hurt your feelings or otherwise make it difficult. In other words, if we're seeing it that way, we're interpreting love as in the same way that a person who's not even saved might interpret love. The love of God is better understood to mean things like this. It's something supernatural. It requires faith in order to do it. We're going to have to lean upon God. It's not going to be, it's not going to go along with our flesh. It requires dunamis power. It's unnatural. It's unusual. It requires courage in order to do it. And the above scriptures illustrate this. The love of God is wildly out of sync with human nature. It's exactly opposite to the motivation of fear. Now, the reason we're talking about in Sunday's message, and now again right now, the reason we're talking about manipulation is not to give us another excuse to not walk in love. This type of supernatural love we're sharing with you today, but rather it is to give us a sense of divine order and control, a sense of safety in what God is asking us to do. Imagine an acrobat in a circus. Now, maybe there's some people that are just courageous enough, that this example wouldn't apply to them. But for most of us, if we were trying to be that acrobat, we would be willing to take more risks. We would be willing to go further, to do more, to extend ourselves more, if we knew there was a safety net there. If there was no safety net, then we might be, I know I would be, a lot more careful and maybe slow to try tricks, or maybe some tricks I would never do, or some acrobatic maneuvers, in the flying trapeze. I just wouldn't do it because I think it's just too dangerous. But if there was a safety net, I might be persuaded to do it. And that's our purpose in talking about recognizing manipulation and understanding that our calling in life isn't to be manipulated by people. Our calling in life is to love them, and they're two different things. In fact, they're opposite things many times. And if I have some sense of security and safety in that, then that will embolden me to step out and be the courageous lover of other people that God has called me to be. So seeing the distinction is intended to help us to take the plunge, take the risk, take the step of faith, love people when we maybe feel like we ought to be defending ourselves. Just go ahead and not defend yourself. Love them instead. Believe the best of every person. Be ever ready to believe the best. That doesn't mean that you're gullible. It means that you are willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't need to be self-seeking. We don't have to fight with people. We don't need to be touchy, fretful, or resentful. We don't need to take any account of the evil done to us. That doesn't mean we don't notice evil when it's done to us. I think it's to our advantage to notice it when it's being done, but it just means we don't take account in order to pay them back, evil with evil. All right, that's our last refresh message for this week. We trust that you are being supernaturally empowered by the presence of the Spirit of God, and He's helping you and reminding you and giving you grace to step out and to be the person that you've been called to be. We bless you this week and pray for you, and we'll talk to you again soon.